After 13 insane chapters, the battle between the two strongest sorcerers, Gojo and Sukuna, has finally decided its chosen winner. From overcoming Sukuna's divine domain expansion to absolutely bodying a 3v1 handicap situation, even the most diehard Sukuna fan will admit that the amount of utility in Jujutsu Gojo has shown throughout this fight as a whole has surpassed that of the King of Curses, Ryoma Sukuna. And look, I get it. We all know that until Sukuna is completely incapacitated, the fight isn't technically over. But to be completely real with you, it's pretty much just as Kusakabe says. Gojo is indeed the definite winner. Think about it. In the first round of the fight of domains, we not only see Gojo taking multiple barrages of Sukuna's malevolent shrine, but we see when the roles are reversed in chapter 229, Sukuna has to bring in Mahoraga in order to avoid defeat. Malevolent Shrine may be the best technique in the series, but that's only if we're talking about the effective range, cause Gojo is able to completely tank the slashes that came from Malevolent Shrine. Meanwhile, Sukuna could barely stand even 0.1 seconds inside Infinite Void. Now, a lot of people are going to be thinking AJ. The first round ended with both fighters not being able to use their domain expansions. In other words, the first round should pretty much be a tie. And yeah, that's technically true, but the circumstances at which the first round ended are completely different for both fighters. Gojo got brain damage from using reverse curse technique in a very, let's just say, unconventional way. In chapter 230, Kusakabe explains that the part of the brain where curse techniques are concerned is a black box, and unlike just regularly using reverse curse technique, healing that part of the brain is way easier said than done. Even a prodigy like Yuta thinks that using reverse curse technique to recover your burnt out technique even once is way too risky. So yeah, for someone like Gojo who's already done it 5 times, it's not surprising that he suffered brain damage that limited his domain expansion. However, things are a bit different for Sukuna, because Sukuna's brain damage didn't come from the overuse of reverse curse technique. Sukuna's brain damage was the result of taking in Unlimited Void. What this means is that Gojo's domain expansion is technically more lethal than Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine. For example, let's say for a minute that Gojo and Sukuna can actually use their domain expansions. If both were to pop their domain expansions right now, not only would Gojo completely dominate it, but with Mahoraga and the will destroyed, Sukuna would literally have no means of escape. So besides the fact that Sukuna can make a barrierless domain, the most powerful domain expansion by far would belong to Satoru Gojo. The only thing more powerful than Gojo's Infinite Void is making sure you subscribe to the channel and liking the video down below. If the first round was the battle of the domains, then the second round was without a doubt the battle of the curse technique. And I'm not gonna lie to you, to call it the battle of the curse technique is a bit disingenuous. Like, let's be real, circling red around a building or using Max Elephant's water as a substitute for piercing blood, these things are just completely out of the realm of what any normal sorcerer would do. Like, to be completely honest here, the fact that Sukuna can use the 10 Shadows technique to such a high level degree of mastery, coupled with the fact that it's not even his innate curse technique, is, if I'm being real with you, just completely insane. Because it's not like Sukuna could just use Megami's memories to do this stuff. Things like the fusion beast Agito, the use of Mahoraga's will, and even like using the makeshift piercing blood. All of these things are things that Megami just couldn't do. In fact, as we know, Megami never even tamed Mahoraga. So regardless of the fact that Sukuna is using a technique that isn't his, if we're strictly talking about a battle of Jujutsu, then it's only fair that we give Sukuna his flowers, because Sukuna is indeed a monster as well. However, from the moment that Gojo hits the second Black Flash on Agito, this is the point where things get very bad for Sukuna. In fact, I would say round 2 was a lot more even until Gojo hit a Black Flash. We know for a fact that hitting a Black Flash puts the sorcerer into the zone, and once in the zone, the sorcerer's understanding of cursed energy becomes as natural as breathing itself. This means that now that Gojo's in the zone, not only is he going to have more refined techniques, but it also means that the reverse curse technique is completely recovered due to the better understanding of cursed energy and the sheer focus that comes with it. So with Agito now destroyed with the maximum blue and Gojo in the zone, for the first time in 1000 years, the King of Curses, Ryoma Sukuna, is starting to feel nervous. What follows is most definitely Sukuna's most embarrassing beatdown in his entire life. I'm talking about so bad that there was a point in the fight where Gojo shot a reversal red into the sky in order to combine with the remaining blue to form a hollow purple. And the panic that you see on Sukuna's face as he tries to stop it really goes to show how dire things are, especially when you consider that Sukuna's been smiling for most of the fight. I mean, hell, this was even so bad that Yuta ended up apologizing for wanting to go help Gojo in chapter 234. And now look, I get it. If Yuta, or pretty much anyone for that matter, was around, then yeah, Gojo wouldn't be able to pull off what he's pulled off this chapter. I mean, it's been said on several occasions that he fights better alone, but you have to understand that the sentiment that Yuta had last chapter, it was completely valid. And I don't mean that Yuta should just interrupt the battle between the two strongest. What I mean is just that the idea that his teacher is in trouble and he just wants to go help isn't a bad one at all, especially when you consider the fact that even Yuji agreed that it's not such a bad idea. If there's any time to go help, it would actually be right now, as the battle seems to be over. Nonetheless, after Gojo is done playing 4D chess with Sukuna and Mahoraga, he detonates Hollow Purple, completely destroying Mahoraga along with the wheel, as well as putting Sukuna on his last legs. And just like that, the strongest sorcerer Satoru Gojo has etched his name in the battlefield of Shinjuku. Satoru Gojo has finally won, but does that mean that the fight is really over? Well, there are a couple things that people should keep in mind. For one, the black box technique that Sukuna used on Jogo in chapter 115 most likely won't even work on Gojo at this point. Think about it. We know that Sukuna used this technique against someone like Jogo, so why wouldn't he use it against someone like Gojo? The only explanation that really makes a lot of sense is of course the infinity. It's more likely than not that this black box technique still can't penetrate infinity. So for Sukuna to try to use it would not only mean him showing his hand, but it would probably mean just him wasting cursed energy. I think the problem here is a lot of people expected either Sukuna or Gojo to die this fight. And yeah, that's fair, but to be honest with you, to me this fight was just figuring out who the strongest was. Like, if I'm being real with you, no, I wouldn't have been surprised if Gojo or Sukuna would have died, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I came into this fight under the idea that someone might die, but someone dying wasn't necessary, if you kind of catch my drift. If I was just to be completely honest, it actually makes more sense to me that after the fight is when someone would die. Because we know that Gojo wants to free Megumi and Sukuna still needs his ones with Yuji. I for one honestly think it's a little important that Yuji gets his payoff. And secondly, I just really want Megumi to come back because I just really like Megumi. So while it is true that the copium is running quite high, you pretty much have to admit that for both characters, they've pretty much fulfilled their roles. And if there's one question we should be asking ourselves, it's where the hell is Kenjaku? Because in the last 13 chapters that this fight has been ongoing, Kenjaku has appeared in one panel. So yeah, we probably should be worrying about the guy who plans things for 1,000 years, but let's be real here though. This is probably all according to Kenjaku's plan, and I don't think I would really be surprised if he just appeared next chapter and took out both of them with the domain expansion, but I guess that would be a little bit too predictable. So yeah, just keep in mind that Jujutsu Kaisen is a series about misfortune and regret, so let's just be completely real with ourselves. We know that in order for the plot to advance, one of these characters might have to get bodied. That's just how Gege is, that's just how Jujutsu Kaisen is. But we've pretty much known since the beginning of the series that the good guys rarely ever get, an actual dub. Like, ever since Yuji's fight with Mahito and Shibuya, things haven't really been good for us at all. So yeah, I don't really see things getting better for us before it gets a little worse. But yeah, I'm just some guy on the internet that gives his opinion, so I guess you can take that as you will. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any theories or analysis of your own, make sure you put them in the comments below. I do read the comments, and again, if you do like this kind of content, make sure you like the video on your way out, and you guys have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next one. Peace.